This is your Monday Moment. Glad to be with you this week as we continue the 3-video series, as many of them in May and June actually have been dedicated to post-pandemic reopening. Now, today's topic is one focused on planning. And there have long been complaints for the last 90 days about the feeling of ambiguity, uncertainty, and frankly, the inability to feel like you could make any plans. But you can. And many of our association and corporate clients are beginning to re-engage in the processes they began prior to the shutdown and the quarantine. And what we find in this reinvigorated process of planning, or as some might call it, strategic planning for the future, wow, is there some excitement, some new data, some refresh, re-energization, and a revitalized sense and feeling about where we're headed. Now let's talk about your strategic plan, or just simple plans for the future. I might make a few suggestions on covering 3 specific areas to make sure you have enough data to implement and enact your own planning process, but also plan outcome. The very first of those 3 areas is to talk through what are the types of plans. Most commonly, certainly, you'll hear about strategic planning. And this is one that we've done for a number of associations and clients, and one that I often facilitate because it's far more effective if you're the leader, particularly if you're the big boss, for you to just participate rather than facilitate your planning process. But in that planning process, there's typically something called a strategic plan. And truthfully, there are strategic plan purists and strategic plan, let's call them fakers. Although they're not faking it, they're just creating what I would call a hybrid model. And it's actually become quite popular. So let's talk about these types. The purists of strategic plans and the planning of where we're going to be in 1 year, 3, or maybe even 5 years from now, will tell you that strategies do not belong in the same plan as tactics. And if you're able to be pure in that process, then it works beautifully. Perhaps your organization is in need of a much more clear strategy. What are the treetops thought processes? What are the very high level 50,000 foot view priorities and guiding directions replete with mission, vision, and values? Now the non-purists will tell you it might even be far more effective to create something that has a few tactics and then leads you right into that conversation of ownership. We're still talking about the types of plans, and first we've talked strictly about the strategic plan, and now I'm talking about what I call this hybrid model. In the hybrid model of a strategic plan, you have, yes, strategies, and typically on a grid system that we use, which should show up on your screen just now. You'll see a space for the mission and the vision, but you will also see 3 rows and 3 columns. Now you can create as many rows or columns as you wish, and I did not create this template from scratch. It's one that has been used time and time again that I find highly effective. In the hybrid model, you would incorporate 3 areas of focus across the top, 3 usually people. Those areas will most impact. And then in each box where those column and rows meet, you would be able to put a combination of goals and tactics. And in a live session in which you facilitate the finalization of the tactics that belong to each, depending on your goals in this process, you will find you create ownership. You will find that people vie for certain tactics, otherwise known as action items. you will find you then have the ability to hold them accountable. So I find the hybrid model takes us from that mere discussion about larger strategy, which is often much more theoretical, down to what are we doing, who's doing it, and by when. But then you can also take that a step further and run across a third type, which I found to be least effective, and that is essentially an action item list or a to-do list, and then just calling it a strategic plan. That's not really anything more than you filling out one page of your planner or today's to-do form of one kind or another. It is important in your planning for the future to incorporate those foundational elements of mission, vision, value, but also your larger, overall, overarching, umbrella-like strategy. Now, once we take a look at types and you've made some decisions on which one might be most appropriate, or if you need help, reach out and we'll be happy to walk you through the process or even facilitate it for you. Then it is important to start looking at who are the people you will involve in the live session or in the discussions or even in having input at all in your plans for the future. Can I make a suggestion? Don't limit the people involved in your plans for the future to only those who got you where you are this far. Incorporate multiple generations. Incorporate multiple backgrounds, multiple professions, multiple career levels. But also incorporate not just your board of directors, not just your C-suite leaders, but somebody from that call center who's answering phones day to day, day in, day out, and hearing the live customers complaining. Somebody from the front desk who sees exactly what patients jump up and down about when they are not happy. Or somebody from the drive-thru window who hears exactly what they think about number 2 on that menu. Incorporate multiple levels of people, multiple kinds of people, and multiple people, each of whom have a wide array of values. Incorporate people who have differences. Considering all those elements, it's going to give you one heck of a robust plan for the future. But also, it will give you this nifty side benefit. The more people you include in what I commonly call the strategic planning process, or the live session in which you discuss final tweaks before releasing this plan into the public, or maybe the universe, depending on your thought process, is to look at the people who are going to be ambassadors. The side neat benefit is not only to look at the people who are going to talk about this process and who are going to be significantly of influence, but are also what you might call big mouths, who are well connected, know lots of people, and quite frankly can't keep a secret. Yay, perfect, great, because they're the ones who will pave the way for the release, buy-in, and, say it with me now, engagement in this planning process and the carrying out of the plan in the future. The last good guideline or area that's important to focus on when it comes to making plans for your future, particularly post-pandemic, is simply identifying your preferred process. Is it one in which you select a number of people who create a strategic planning committee, and then you have someone interview each of those people with a specific set of questions? This is the method we're using right now with a client. Once those interviews are completed, we fill in the grid that you saw on the screen earlier. They look at it via email, revise, poke holes in, share feedback on. We revise the template, send out a second version. They get to look at, percolate, think on, and contemplate any tweaks or adjustments needed for then the live session. And in the live session, it's about finalization of what's in that plan, not the creation of it. Depending on the process you choose and where your particular audience might be in their knowledge or maturity or readiness to take action and implement, the processes may vary. And you having a live session to do just tweaks may not be realistic. You may need 2 or 3 live sessions to first educate people on where we're going, why, and why we need a plan to get there. Second, to have everyone involved in filling out your initial draft grid, if you choose to use that template. And third, to go through the tweaking process. The process you choose is every bit about the people you involve in it. And then the larger decision is what type of plan and plan model are you considering using. You can make plans for the future. And I know it sounds wild and crazy that we think we can plan more than, frankly, for just today. But it's an important exercise to at least get clear on where you'd like to be going. What would you like to be experiencing, and what would you like to see happen for those you have the privilege of leading? Make those plans for the future. Heck, they may change if we've learned nothing else in the last few months. Anything's possible. But if you have a plan, you have a far higher chance of being prepared and of actually putting that plan into action. If you have no plan, you'll just end up wherever the river takes you, so to speak. Lots of phrases around that, of which I'm sure you have your favorite. But in the meantime, consider the model, the people, and your process. And those 3 elements will help you have an even more effective plan for the future. I'm Monica Wofford, and that's your Monday Moment post-pandemic edition. I look forward to talking with you next time, and in the meantime, have a fantastic Monday, an even better week, and, of course, stay contagious. And if you're not already part of the contagious community, maybe it's time we fix that. Go to contagiouscompanies.com, wait for the box to pop up in the middle, enter your name and email, and you will receive these Monday Moments on a weekly basis. You could also take a more direct route and go to mondaymoment.com, follow the same process, and we'll see you in your inbox next Monday. Thanks so much. Talk soon.